What's up, YouTube? Turtle Loves Corn Dog is also known as BlogBoy. We're doing a Cardfight Vanguard Deck profile. It's an Angel Fenner deck. We're using the Ergodiel variant because I noticed a lot of the Angel Fenner users they'll use this chamois shell build. I know it's the most competitive out of them, but I really want to see how far this can go in terms of competitiveness. So bear with me. I'm not sure if this is like that amazing of a build. I hope it is. So far, it's been doing fine. But any suggestions, just like let me know. So we're gonna start. Miracle Fenner Nurse. This is our starting Vanguard, and it's also the start of the ride chain. When you ride this unit with Heavenly Injector, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and you look among them. If there's a Fate Healer Ergodiel or Cosmo Healer Ergodiel, you choose either one of them and add it to your hand. Now this is really good because you need to add pieces to the ride chain. You need to get it as soon as possible. You want to ride each piece of the ride chain every turn, so you can get the most out of Cosmo Healer Ergodiel. And if you happen to not get a Heavenly Injector, you move her to the rear guard. So it's still good either way, but I prefer to ride her with Heavenly Injector at all times. Next, we're going to do the trigger lineup. Use 4 critical hit Angel. Now, I like this one a lot because you can also save her. You can save her if you don't need her to guard with. You can use her to boost your units, the push for game. Boost your Vanguard, I think. Oh, any Angel Fenner. Okay, next we use Rocket Dash Unicorn. Run 4. So that's a total of 8 critical triggers. For draw, because free punches are always good. It's good to fill up the hand. 4 heal triggers. This is a must, because if you happen to draw this card, you use her to boost, and then you shuffle her into the deck. So you keep using her until you get to use her as a heal trigger. Next up, we're going to do the grade 1s. Oh yeah, and I do not use the stand trigger. I just don't feel the need for it. I really need the extra push with the critical triggers. I really need that extra push to hit, because this deck really lacks power. So I need to make as much damage as I can as possible, because the problem with this variant, the Ergodiel variant, is you'll rarely ever get any 20,000 columns. Rarely ever with the deck I'm using. So you really gotta max out in those critical triggers possibly. Okay? Next up we use 4 Heavenly Injector. When you really gotta use 4 though, because the reason why is you want to get the ride chain off as soon as possible. You need her turn 1 though, because this is the most important piece, because it searches out the other pieces for the ride chain. And when you ride this unit with Fate Healer Ergodiel, you do a damage swap. So I'll usually purposely take damage to take advantage of that damage swap. Turn 1, I purposely take damage. Next up, 4 Perfect Shield Pure Keeper Ergodiel. You have to run 4 in this variant, because 1, you're going to take a lot of damage, because you purposely want to take damage so you can do as much damage swapping as possible, take most advantage of it. And you'll purposely take up the 4 damage, because I'm using Curiel in this deck. So I'll purposely wait until I hit 4 damage. So if they manage to get a damage on me and they pull off a critical trigger, it's game. So I gotta have these like late game. 3. Burst Shot Bephenol. He's the 8k beater of the deck. Also a great booster because, as I said earlier, the deck lacks power. It gets for those 5k shields when you boost the unit, like you have Burst Shot Bephenol right there and have another Burst Shot Bephenol. That's 16k, so that's enough for the stop a 5k shield. So I run 3 to get my attacks off as well for some of my units. Okay, 2 Battle Cupid no CL. We're not going to use any more than this. You only need 2. It's not as effective as it would be in a Sam Shell build, where it boosts all the Pegasus and Sam Shell itself, I believe, and what is that other called? Well, there's another grade 3 unit that gets boosted when you do damage swapping. We don't use any of them, so this card's not as effective, and late game, a 5k shield's not going to really do you any good. So you gotta use these as soon as you get them. Like early game as possible, where 5k shield can actually block some attacks. And the reason why I use 2 is because it's good in early game, and I want to get it early game as soon as possible. So run 2. Clutch Rifle Angel. I only use 1 because if you're already happy to winning the game, have less damage, it's just dead. But now the reason why it's okay at 1 is because if it's in the damage zone, I can always just damage swap for it. And when I have more equal or more damage than opponents, it's an 11k booster, which is great for getting off. Which is great for pulling off the attacks of my Cosmo Healer Ergodiel, so we can start healing. Next up, we use 1 Lightning Charger. It's okay because, alright, I didn't want to use 2 because I'm not using 3 Circular Sartorial, but the reason why I'm using this is because sometimes you have to use Circular Sartorial in the rear guard, so this makes a possible 21k column. All I got to do is Soul Blast 1. That's all I got to do. And then Curiel becomes 21k in the rear guard. And if I'm using it for the Vanguard, she gets her boost plus this, so that's a ton of damage. That's a ton of power, I mean. Next up, 4 Fate's Healer Ergodiel. As I said earlier, you want the ride chain to be consistent as possible. You want to get off. You want to ride each piece of the ride chain every turn. Now, Fate Healer Ergodiel, when you ride the unit with Cosmo Healer Ergodiel, you put 2 cards from your hand into the damage zone and choose 2 cards from the damage zone and add them to your hand. So, yeah, it's a good card. Next up, 3 Gatling Shot Barbiel. It's the 10k beater of the deck. And you can use it as an intercept too, so use it for attacking, use it for intercepting. You guys probably already know that. And yeah, the deck lacks power, so you have to run 3. I do not use the Pegasus in this deck because I do not do enough damage swapping to make it effective enough. So the vanilla units are way more effective than the Pegasus units, like they are in the Samsung build. Next up, 2. Core Memory Armorous. Now, some of you may think, oh, it's going to get in the way of Curiel and Cosmo Healer Ergodiel. Well, I already know that. But the draw power is always good. I only use 2. But when you counterblast 2, you draw a card. All you gotta do is have an attack that goes through. So I can attack one of the rear guards, and then if it goes through, counterblast 2. But sometimes this pressures the opponent. They don't want you to get that plus, so they'll guard the attack. They'll guard the attack just so you don't get that plus out of it. So I run 2 of her. 2. Love Machine Gun No CL. Once you play it from the hand to the rear guard, it's an instant damage swap. I only use 2 because she's pretty weak. But I do need the damage swapping because I do use a few units to do the counter blast. And if any opponent units go into the damage zone that I need, I can choose a card from my hand that I don't need and choose that card and add it to my hand. So yeah, because some cards I use 1 of in this deck, because sometimes you rely on drawing into it or just getting it into the damage zone and then grabbing it later when I need it. This is when it comes into use. So I run 2. She's weak though. Okay, next. We're going to use the next part of the ride chain. Cosmo Healer Ergodiel. As I said earlier, you want to get the ride chain off. Because when you do, it becomes 11k. It becomes an 11k Vanguard, which isn't bad at all. And when you get an attack through, you counterblast 2. The Persona Blast one of these units, and then you get to heal one of your damage. So I can stall an opponent until I can finish them off. So I use 4 of them. You have to run 4 to make the Persona Blast effective. Next and finally, 3 circular saw Curiel. 3 of them. Now, some of you may think, why do you use the rear guard attackers? Well, the reason why is because if I can't get the ride chain off, this is my next best solution, is to use 3 Curiels. Or, even if I don't get and if I already have 4 damage, I want to get Curiel out anyways because I can use her limit break. Because what happens is she gets a 5,000 boost. I found 8,000 boost, so that's easily a 20k column when you boost her with other units. And when she's placed onto the Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a face-up Angel Fender from your damage zone and call it the rear guard. Then all you got to do is put 1 card from the top of your deck into the face down, for the cost of only soul blasting 1. So that really comes to use. Helps me swarm. And as I said earlier, I use Lightning Charger. I really think if I use 2 Lightning Chargers, it'd be inconsistent. I think 3 circular Curiels is okay. As long as I'm running 3, it's okay to run 1 Lightning Charger. Now, that's my Angel Fender deck. I'm sorry this video took a while. I just wanted to give out some brief explanations on how this deck works. If you have any suggestions, just leave a comment below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to me. Yeah, so please look forward to my next competitive Cardfight Vanguard deck. As I said earlier, I might go move on to the Samshell build if this deck does not work. If this deck doesn't work. So yeah, peace out.